guys, it's Amber. Welcome to my channel. I post book and home fragrance content. I'm here to share the 10 most anticipated reads for July, my 10 most anticipated reads for July of the books that are being released for purchasing in July. So there's no particular order, but I just want to share. I like to share with you every month what are ones that are standouts for me, ones that I want to pick up, possibly once I get around to it. Hopefully, my TBR list is so big already, but these are ones that are definitely ones that I'm like, ooh, that looks good. So I always try to do 10. Let's jump into it. So the first one I have is called The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And this comes out July 30th. It is a continuation in her Inheritance Games series, but it is kind of a spin-off a little bit, I think, because it was being qualified as The Grandest Game #1, but it will still include characters from the Inheritance Games. So this is the synopsis. 7 tickets, an island of dreams, the chance of a lifetime. Welcome to The Grandest Game, an annual competition run by billionaire Avery Grahams and the 4 infamous Hawthorne brothers, whose family fortune she inherited. Designed to give anyone a shot at fame and fortune, this year's game requires one of 7 golden tickets to enter. With millions on the line, those 7 players will do whatever it takes to win. So I really enjoyed everything so far from this series, so I am definitely looking forward to this one. Of all the ones that I have listed, if I have to pick what the one I'm most excited for, it would be this one for sure. Okay, the next one is The Lost Story by Meg Shaffer, or Schaefer, however she says it. This releases July 16th, and this is by the author who did, why am I blanking? The Wishing Game, which is one of my favorite books of the year so far. So it's by the same author. So there's although that book really didn't have magical realism even in it, even though it felt like it was going to, this one feels like it will. So let me read the synopsis. I know it is based kind of or inspired by The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So that gives me like, ooh, that one, I'm kind of excited about that. So this is, as boys, best friends Jeremy Cox and Rafe Howell went missing in a vast West Virginia state forest, only to mysteriously reappear 6 months later with no explanation for where they'd gone or how they'd survived. 15 years after their miraculous homecoming, Rafe is a reclusive artist who still bears scars inside and out, but has no memory of what happened during those months. Meanwhile, Jeremy has become a famed missing persons investigator. With his uncanny abilities, he is one person who can help vet tech Emily Wendell find her sister, who vanished in the very same forest as Rafe and Jeremy. And then it says, Jeremy alone knows the fantastical truth about the disappearances. For while the rest of the world was searching for them, the 2 missing boys were in a magical realm filled with impossible beauty and terrible danger. So this one feels like it will be more of like a magical realism that ended up not really being in The Wishing Game. But still, highly recommend The Wishing Game. It's an amazing book. Okay, so I'm excited about that one. Okay, the next one is The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman, which releases July 16th. And he's the one that wrote the Magician series. I haven't read those books. I'm pretty sure he's the one that was the author of those. So this one is a gifted young knight named Cullum arrives at Camelot to compete for a spot on the round table, only to find he's too late. The king died 2 weeks ago at the battle of Camelon, leaving no heir, and only a handful of the knights of the Round Table survive. They aren't the heroes of legend like Lancelot. They're the oddballs of the Round Tables, from the edges of the stories, like Sir Palomides, the Saracen knight, and Sir Dagonet, Arthur's fool, who was knighted as a joke. They're joined by Nimue, who was Merlin's apprentice until she turned on him and buried him under a hill. Together, this ragtag fellowship will set out to rebuild Camelot in a world that has lost its balance. So that one sounds like it could be fun for sure. Okay, the next one is called The Night Ends with Fire, and this releases July 2nd by KX Song. And this one, I have heard it's inspired by Mulan. We've had a couple books that are inspired by Mulan recently. One that came out last month, actually. Or was it in June? We're in June right now still. This is like the end of June when I'm filming this. It came out in June, now that I'm thinking about it, of Jade and Dragons. So that was another one kind of inspired by Mulan. So this is another one, but I'm not mad at it. So let's see what it says. The three kingdoms are at war, but Mei Lin's father refuses to answer the imperial draft. Trapped by his opium addiction, he plans to sell Mei Lin for her dowry. But when Mei Lin discovers her husband-to-be is another violent, ill-tempered man, she realizes that nothing will change for her unless she takes matters into her own hands. The very next day, she disguises herself as a boy and enlists in her father's place. In the army, Mei Lin's relentless hard work brings her recognition, friendship, and a growing closeness with Sky, a prince-turned-training partner. But has she simply exchanged one prison for another? As her kingdom barrels towards destruction, Mei Lin begins to have visions of a sea dragon spirit that offers her true power and freedom, but with a deadly price. So that one sounds good for sure. I am a fantasy girly for sure. So yeah, give me all the fantasy. I'm good. All right, the next one is The Spell Shop. This releases July 9th and it's by Sarah Beth Durst. And this one is said to be kind of like a cozy fantasy. I'm all about the cozy. I'm all about the whimsy. So give me all of that. And it mentioned that it's like a Hallmark rom-com full of mythical creatures and fueled by cinnamon rolls and magic. The Spell Shop will heal your heart and feed your soul. So the synopsis is Keela has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian, of course, ding ding, another plus for me, at the Great Library of Vasilium, she and her assistant Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, give me all the whimsy, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spell books, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spell books they can carry and head to a remote island Keela never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, Keela discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and to help fix up her new home. In need of income, Keela identifies something that even the bakery in town doesn't have, jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Keela risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. That one sounds like so much fun, so I'm down for that one for sure. Okay, the next one is called The Match. This releases July 2nd and is by Sarah Adams. It is a contemporary romance. And the synopsis is Evie Jones has dedicated her life and very limited funds working for Southern Service Paws, the company that matched her with the love of her life, Charlie, a service dog trained to assist with her epilepsy. But it's no secret that the company has been struggling to make ends meet. It's up to her and her longtime mentor and boss to throw the fundraiser of the century to keep the doors open. Then Evie meets Jacob Broden at a client consultation meeting. There are instant sparks, but not the good kind, because Jacob's daughter set up the meeting without his knowledge. 10-year-old Sam has been recently diagnosed with epilepsy and has wanted a service animal ever since. While he has hesitations at first, it doesn't take long for Jacob to be convinced that a service dog, and possibly Evie, with her magical woodland green eyes, might just be the best thing for him and his daughter. So that seems really cute, for sure. Okay, the next one is called The Days I Loved You Most. And this is general fiction, I think. It's general fiction, or yeah, I'm pretty sure it's general fiction. So this comes out July 30th and it's by Amy Neff. And this is in the summer of 1941 on the New England shores where they were raised. Evelyn and Joseph fell in love. Now, more than 60 years later, with a lifetime between them, they have gathered their 3 grown children to share the staggering news. She has received a heartbreaking diagnosis and he can't live without her. So in 1 year's time, they will end their love story on their own terms. This one seems like it's gonna be kind of a tearjerker for me though. Over the next year, the couple retraces their past, all the joys and regrets that brought them to this moment. They embark on a journey to live out their greatest dreams and to connect with each of their children. But as their final days draw closer, they must confront the stark reality of what's to come and make peace with the legacy they will leave behind for their family. So yeah, that one feels like it'll be a tearjerker, but I think it'll be good for sure. Okay, next is another contemporary romance. This is called Not Another Love Song, and it comes out July 16th. It is by Julie Soto. And this, I've seen her works, but I haven't ever read any of her books. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I've heard good things from those that have gotten ARCs. So when professional and self-taught violinist Gwen Jackson plays, she disappears into the peaks and valleys of each song, a quiet passion that never quite explodes into pure emotion. Xander Thorne is the exact opposite, a cellist and a rock star. He's all about big emotion, but not even his 6-foot-tall frame can contain his skill, his genius, and an attitude that borders on jerktitude. Not only did it take Xander a year to notice that he and Gwen both play in the Manhattan Pops, but he also always seems to have the perfect cutting criticism about her technique. When Gwen is offered the role of first chair in the orchestra, something Xander has secretly coveted for years, their existing hostility goes up a notch. Yet despite her best efforts, Gwen can't ignore the sizzling chemistry between them. So yeah, that sounds like it'll be good. Okay, next one is All This and More, which comes out July 9th. And it's by Peng Shepherd. And this one is, I think it's like a fiction, like magical realism fiction, possibly. Okay, so one woman, endless options. Yes, this is like a kind of a magical realism fiction. Every choice has consequences. Meek, play it safe Marsh, has just turned 45 and her life is in shambles. Her career is stagnant, her marriage has imploded, and her teenage daughter grows more distant by the day. Marsh is convinced she's missed her chance at everything: romance, professional fulfillment, and adventure, and is desperate for a do-over. She can't believe her luck when she's selected to be a star of the global sensation All This and More, a show that uses quantum technology to allow contestants the chance to revise their pasts and change their present lives. It's Marcia's only shot to seize her dreams, and she's determined to get it right this time. So more like the sci-fi aspect of magical realism is what it sounds like. So yeah, it says it's perfect for fans of Matt Haig's The Midnight Library and Kate Atkinson's Life After Life. So that one sounds like it'll be a really good read. Okay, and then the last one is Such Charming Liars, which comes out July 30th. This is by Karen M. McManus. So this is the newest mystery from the author One of Us is Lying, the queen of thrillers, Karen M. McManus. When mother and daughter grifter set out on their final job, the heist gets deadly and dangerously personal. For all of Kat's life, it's just been her and her mother, Jamie, except for the 48 hours when Jamie was married and Kat had a stepbrother, Liam. That all ended in an epic divorce, and Kat and Liam haven't spoken since. Now Jamie is a jewel thief trying to go straight, but she has one last job at billionaire Ross Sutherland's birthday party. And Kat has figured out a way to tag along. What Kat doesn't know, though, is that there are 2 surprise guests at the dazzling Sutherland compound that weekend. The last 2 people she wants to run into, Liam and his father, a serial scammer who has his sights set on Ross Sutherland's youngest daughter. Kat and Liam are on a collision course to disaster, and when a Sutherland dies, they realize they might actually be in the killer's crosshairs themselves. Somehow Kat and Liam are the new targets, and they can't trust anyone except each other. So that sounds like it'll be good. A nice mystery thriller type of book for sure. I also have One of Us is Lying on my TBR list. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I've heard good things about it. Okay, and then I do have an honorable mention. I did not put it in my 10 because I haven't read the first book yet, but I just got the book in. I'm planning on reading it soon, and if I love it, which I feel like I will, then I'm, of course, going to read the second book, and that is Reckless, which is the second book in the Powerless trilogy, and it comes out July 2nd, and it's by Lauren Roberts. I don't want to say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil anything for myself or you if you haven't read the first book. But Powerless, I've heard super good things about. It's a fantasy type book. I heard it's kind of like the Hunger Games, but a little bit other stuff too. I know I mentioned it in my last library book haul. I talked about it. So yeah, that's it. That's my top 10 most anticipated reads for the books coming out in July. Let me know down in the comments, do any of these interest you? Or if there isn't a book on my list, what one do you recommend that is coming out in July? Let me know down in the comments. I like to talk to you guys. All right, that's it. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you again soon. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.